Yay, welcome back to the newest episode of Cool People Doing Cool Things. I am your host, Sarah Buehner, and today I'm here with a dear friend and colleague of mine, Emilah DeToro. And Emilah, I'm so excited to have you here today. This is going to be so
I'm
fun.
excited too, Sarah. Yeah, I love chatting with you at any time. So on a podcast is even a bonus.
Yes. Yes, it's so fun. Well, and what I love is that you and I were one generation different, but there's so
Yes.
many things about us that it's like sisterhood. Like there's so many similarities. And so I'm excited to get started today. So if you haven't been in Emilah's world yet, a lot of the people that follow me know who you are already because I talk about you a lot. And Emilah is an intuitive channel, psychic medium, animal communicator, shaman inspired healer. I know you told me some other ways to energy. You're like me, where there's all these different gifts you've brought together in your own healing journey, and you get to share them with everybody else. Would you add
Exactly.
anything there?
That,
Midwife to the
that is
soul.
true. Midwife to the soul.
Yeah.
I am an energy healer. I had a form of energy healing come through me called energy body alignment after the car accident that kind of woke me up to all of this. And so I do this energy body alignment, which is really soul based, higher self based energy healing for the
Mm.
client. Yeah. But I think you covered all the rest.
Together. Oh, good. Sorry, I think there's a lag. I don't know why. Whenever we share space virtually, we haven't met in person yet, but I feel it come in. I just feel it in my crown chakra, and feels like little screws of energy, and it just feels so great. So I love sharing space with you. It's so fun.
Same, Sarah. It always feels like we're co-channeling during every conversation. And
Yes.
it's that idea that when two or more are gathered, it increases the frequency. And
Yes.
because we channel and receive information and we're trained very similarly, even though we are 2 decades apart, um, it it really enhances both of our capacity when we're
Yes.
together.
Yes. And for those of you who want a sneak peek, Emilah and I are co-hosting a mastermind, an intuitive and business mastermind for fellow intuitives. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the episode. And I'm just so excited because we're bringing that not just for you and I now, but for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait.
So how would you explain a midwife to the soul?
Yeah, so as I just spoke about, my gifts came in fully after a series of awakenings. Um, One being a Shaktipat, which is a grace of the guru experience, and then a car accident, which shifted my brain quite a bit. And what came out of that was this energy body alignment, but also this capacity to kind of lean in or hear somebody else's soul or higher self speak and give direction. So, uh, a lot of people struggle with how to follow their
Mm.
intuition, how to trust it, how to know it, that it's true, and what they're hearing or sensing is true. And I actually have the capacity to hear that very clearly and then to translate it. I sense things in frequency and then I translate it into language and offer that. And then together, usually the client and I sort out, well, was that accurate? Is there more? Where further do we want to go? What if this fan shifts a little bit, and maybe it shifts in this direction? So it's really that capacity to hear elements of people's highest good in decision making and sense where their development is going. Right? I sense a lot emotionally and energetically, and I'm an empath, so I have a lot of basic information about clients when they're just sitting in front of me, right? And it's about
Right.
their emotional and psychic and spiritual development.
I love
Yeah,
that.
and relational and relationality. I work with clients a lot around relationships with themselves, with people around them, with jobs, things like that. So it's all soul guided. So when I say midwife to the soul, like any midwife, I'm helping you birth something, right? And
Hmm.
usually it's birthing a new chapter of a person's life or a new project or a new perspective on something.
Yes. That's what I gather, observing your work. There's kind of two different groups, although they overlap. It's people who are at a crossroads and they're like, I just don't know. I know that this version of me, something's going to evolve and I need that support. And then the second group, which again, they overlap, is people trying to or wanting to build their own intuitive gifts.
Hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
pretty cool.
Both of those are uh, key markers of the people I work with. And sometimes those happen at Saturn return periods, right? Either the
Yes.
first or the second Saturn return. Sometimes it happens, I'm seeing a lot of millennials right now because it happens in the early 40s too,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
during that perimenopausal years.
Yep.
It kind of overlaps between perimenopause and menopause. I see a lot of women
Yeah.
in those spaces because they're exploring, rediscovering their identity, right? They're having to shed a big piece of their identity and they haven't quite discovered what their new identity is. And it's a very fertile time, but it can be a very scary time because we are not trained in how to navigate liminal space. And that is
True.
liminal space, right? We want to be
Yes.
certain about things. We want to know how things work. And those transformational moments, we are uncertain. We don't
Yes.
really know anything, much of anything. Yeah,
Right. Well, and that's where it's so helpful to have somebody hold space and co-regulate because it allows us to create that safety from within to navigate and let go and all of those pieces. Yeah.
absolutely. And that's what I see my role as is helping identify guideposts, helping people understand the terrain they're
Hmm.
moving through, um, normalize the feelings of fear and anxiety or excitement or whatever is coming up for them, surprise, curiosity, normalizing all of it and kind of holding not quite guardrails, but holding a space so that they can discover it
Right.
without me saying, you're going to become an X. You're going
Right.
to make these changes in your life. I think, can I do those things? Probably, yes. But that's not actually how I see my role. I have a lot of training. I had 20 years of being a coach and 20 years before that in student affairs in higher ed. And so
Yeah.
we're not in those roles, we're not interested in telling you what to do. We're interested in helping you discover what's being birthed from you or what's being created. And so that's the space I hold, a safe space from someone who's been through all of these things multiple times,
Yes.
right? To allow you to, whoever my client is, whether it's for one session or for years, to continue evolving and listening to their soul and trusting it and making moves based on internal soul directed guidance.
I love that. I love that. And you're speaking to something, you're speaking around something that I think is a big misconception when people aren't around intuitives. Like you and I, that's pretty much our crew.
Right.
And I
Yeah,
forget
for
that
sure.
that's like not the norm for a lot of people. And interestingly, a lot of people who aren't practicing intuitively listen to this show and are like learning, right? So I think one of the misconceptions is that when somebody's intuitive or psychic, that it's like, just tell me what to do. And I find that there's definitely a time and a place of like, what are some things I can do to like work on my vibration or get clarity? But what are your thoughts about that? What do you feel like an intuitive or
I think,
psychic's role is in that?
yeah, I think it's important that the power and empowerment stay with the client. And so an intuitive or psychic's role in this is holding space for the client to find I want to say the correct, but like the correctly aligned choice in any given situation. Are there times when somebody is just like, just tell me what you see or hear? Like, what are the options? What can I do? And I'll be like, I can tell you what I sense, but I'm not going to tell you to do it.
Right.
Right. I do you want to know if you're moving towards a divorce or not? I'll tell you what the energy feels like right now. And you still have free will. You still have choice. No matter what I'm sensing at any point, other people can make decisions. We can make decisions, and the outcome changes. So for me to say this is what will happen feels disempowering, but affirming or supporting somebody and hearing and making a decision that they appreciate and can stand by is really important. If you have to choose between this house or that house, I'm going to say, oh, this house, right? But I think relational choices are very intimate, right? And we need to feel empowered making them. And sometimes with less relational choices, I hear to give that kind of direction. But I really am only giving the direction if I hear to give the direction.
Right. Yeah. I think of it like a kaleidoscope with the free will choice, right? So that divorce example, it's like when I'm tuning into some situation, it's like, given the current frequency, this is what I'm sensing. But things change, things can change. And so I think whether we're therapists or coaches or friends or intuitives, it's like those kinds of decisions that person has to live with for the rest of their life. And I don't necessarily think I'm sure there's going to be exceptions, but in general, it's not necessarily like in integrity to tell somebody you should divorce or you should do this, or it's helping people navigate it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's helping people navigate it and feel confident in their decision. That doesn't mean they may not have regrets about their decision or fears about the decision or a bumpy road after they make the decision. Sure, that may happen. But for them to feel in their core that it's a soul-directed decision and they're willing to ride whatever rapids or easeful transition is available to them after making it. Yeah. So
I love that.
I love it. It reminds me a lot of an old book, not as old as the original, but Richard Bach, the man who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull, wrote another book many years later called One. And in that book, he describes these choices like shifting sand. And in that book, he is a pilot and he's flying over shifting sand on a beach, right? And he talks about a metaphor about our life choices being like that shifting sand. Depending on what happens in the world around us, our choices, our decisions, our yearnings also shift. And that is actually a very organic or natural place for us as animals, right? He might not make that connection, but we are animals. We have an animal body, and animals navigate based on feel and their senses and the environment they're in. And we can do that too, right? Yeah. And that means shifting decisions or choices when the sand shifts, right? Yes. And when the environment shifts.
And it reminds me too of when I've had people come to me and say, my psychic says I'm going to have 3 kids, or my psychic says, and I'm like, well, there's so much that can shift in that time. And it's a practice. It's not like you tune in once and there's 3 kids or 2 kids or this house. It's like, even in our work together, there's been shifts, but then also certainties. Like, remember earlier this year, I was like, you're going to I sense you moving in the summer. And you were like, no.
I am not moving in the summer. I was like, I am not moving in the summer, Sarah. That
Yeah.
would be the third summer in a row I'm not doing it. And
Yeah.
sure as shit, I moved in June. I was like,
That's
no.
hilarious.
Okay. But it was into a lovely house, and I'm, you know,
Yes.
it feels very sturdy, and I purchased it and I'll be there for a good long time. That's what it feels like to me.
Yes.
So was it worth
Right.
it? Absolutely. But my personality
Yes.
did not like it any moment of the time. And that's what I mean by soul directed choices. The choice to buy that house at the time I bought it was soul directed 100%. Right. I thought I was buying a different house, the house that I was renting and living in. And then I made an offer, some things shifted within a 24-hour period. And I called my agent and I said, let's go looking at houses on Monday. And we looked at 7 houses. And the last one, I was like, that's it. I'll buy that townhouse. That's my house.
I
So
love that.
everybody knew I was going to buy the house I was living in. But you
Yeah.
were like, no, you're moving in June. I'm like,
Yeah.
not moving in June until I was. And then I just moved in June, right? And I get a good deal of feedback from people that they're like, "Wow, you shift quickly."
Yes.
And it's true. It's true
Yeah.
because it is soul-based shifting. It's not my personality deciding, "Oh, I'm going to move today." Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's not. Is it a choice? Yes. People tell me all the time, you had a choice to buy that house or not. And absolutely I did. But I also know that when I follow my soul's guidance, I am much happier.
Yeah.
Right. I'm much happier. I'm much more content. It never guides me wrong. So I'm better to make that choice, you know,
Yes.
when I hear it.
That reminds me of my Telluride. I was supposed to go to, did I tell you this? I was supposed to go to West Virginia. I think I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to see my family, and we were going to drive. And a month before, I heard not to go. And I was like, oh, I want to go. Like, I want to see my family. I love West Virginia. I love driving. And I heard don't. And then I heard it again. And then they canceled my Airbnb randomly. The house was being sold. And then my mom, who's intuitive, was like, but doesn't want to own it because she's Irish and has all these thoughts. So it's like superstitious. And she's like, Sarah, I don't think you're supposed to come. And so I canceled. And the week before that, my engine blew up. And had I not canceled, I did
Right.
cancel. Within the refund period, I would have been out like $3,000 in payments. Would that have killed me? No, but
Right.
that was my soul saying, hey. And so I think that's when you practice soul-based intuition like that, and I truly believe all of us can, that, and I'm curious of how
Absolutely.
you feel about that. When you start to listen, it doesn't mean you don't ever have problems, but it means you start to make decisions that might not look logical on the outside, but serve you in the long run, even if you don't know why. So,
Yeah.
do you think everybody
Absolutely.
can
I think
listen to their soul?
I do. I think
Okay.
we can all listen to our soul. We have to learn how it speaks to us. You know?
True. True.
And, our soul speaks a little bit differently. Each person's soul speaks a little bit differently to them. Some people hear words, some people just know in their whole
Mm-hmm.
body. Some people see
Yes.
pictures, some people feel vibration. I have a friend
Mm-hmm.
that smells. He knows his soul and intuition based on scent, which
I'm
is
happy I
very
don't have
rare.
that
You
one.
don't
Yes.
you
Yeah.
don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
And so I think we all do. It's about learning how to listen, being willing to set our ego aside to do what we're hearing or to ask a few more questions of our soul. Like there's no harm in that, right?
Right.
Tell me
Right.
more. Tell me more. Why? How is that?
Yeah.
But also recognizing that we hardly ever get more than the first step, right? We don't
True.
usually get the whole staircase, as they say. We get the
Right.
first step, and we
Right.
have to that's about navigating the terrain, right? We have to find comfort or at least be willing to surrender to the next step. So the one after that and the one after that is shown to us. But I do think there
Yeah.
is a difference between following our soul based intuition and really listening to our body and psychic capacity, right? And
Okay.
energy
Yeah.
capacity. I think they're along a continuum, right? I don't think they're disconnected from themselves,
Right.
right? But I think it's a continuum. We all come in having that capacity for intuitive uh, knowing and listening to our body and hearing our soul speak. And some people have karma, you could say, or development, psychic development that allows them to have extrasensory perception of some form. What and almost anybody can do Reiki, right?
Yes.
Again, that's like you're taught Reiki. You almost everybody I have ever met can do Reiki, and I
Yeah.
absolutely believe everybody can do it.
Yep.
Can everybody do a very um, specific, aligned way of healing? Maybe not, but maybe they can do mediumship in a very particular way, right? Or maybe they can channel in certain ways. So I think it's just a developmental process,
Yeah.
right? Developmental experience. Because I do think most people have those higher extrasensory capacities and either choose not to use them or they haven't awakened yet or whatever. So many reasons. Like I can't even articulate, but can you get there? I think you can.
Mhm. Yeah. I always say it's like everybody can dance and everybody can cook, but you don't want me to dance or cook for you. Although I'm getting better at cooking, right? Like there are people who are just naturally more talented to it. Like you can train and still do it, but I'm not going to be on
Right.
like Dancing with the Stars or Top Chef.
Totally. Totally.
So
And we talked about this the other day about business marketing, right?
yes.
I
Yeah.
can, I certainly can coach people in their business marketing, but I'm not very good at channeling content. You are very good at channeling content.
Oh, thank you.
You can channel content, you can feel it, you can see it, you know what offerings for people to make. I can coach them on a lot of aspects of business development, but not that one, which
Yeah.
is why we work well together, right?
Yes.
When
Yeah.
working with clients, I send a lot of clients to you and I'm like, yeah, at this point, you need to talk to Sarah about what to put on your website,
Yes. That's
right?
hilarious. I love that.
So
Yeah.
I think that that just points to just the different capacity and
Yes.
skill we have in different areas, right?
Yes.
And all of us do.
Right. Well, and to complement that, I can tune into animals. I feel like my dogs speak full language now. I want to get them the buttons, but it'll drive me nuts to teach them that. It's like
Yeah, right.
ball all day.
I
But
too.
if
Yeah.
there's something really going on, I refer to you with your animal,
Hmm.
your pet
Right.
psychic abilities. And same thing with
Uh-huh.
my clients who are doing ascension work. There's just something so magical about your frequency that you hold that it just naturally just pops people up there. So,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we're a good example of, I see a lot of scarcity in the coaching, intuitive healing, helping world of, you know, there's more than enough support out there that people need. And when we collaborate, we all win.
Absolutely. I think what people sometimes is missed is that generosity is an aspect of love, right? And
Mm,
when we're working on the love frequency, which is, the most refined frequency and highest frequency we can work on, generosity is a part of that. And so
yes.
referrals, connecting people to each other helps that quality, right, of generosity and love. There's
Yeah.
plenty of work.
Yeah.
And the people that are for me. And the people that are for you are for you. And the people that are for somebody else are for somebody else. And we work
Right.
with people
Right.
for reasons and seasons. And maybe we have a touch and we plant a seed, but we don't work with somebody for a long time. I think
Right.
that spaciousness, that generosity, that willingness to do the work, while also not giving ourselves away, right? But
Yes.
having ways to
Yes.
do it that are um, stable and connected, not codependent or people pleasing, but like being rooted
Mm-hmm.
in our gifts and our personality and knowing the point at which, yeah, this is a good time to end or this is a good time to refer and being
Yes.
willing to pass that information along when we get it, right?
Yes.
instead of holding it and being like, oh my God, I'm afraid. Am I going to meet my numbers this month? Will I pay my rent?
Right.
I'm turning 60 this year. I've always paid my rent,
Right.
or my mortgage.
Yes.
Something's
Yeah.
always come up to support me.
Yes.
And even in those moments, like, I think shifting to think about businesses, every business run intuitively has a cycle. My down cycles
Mm.
are July. Like, I don't,
Oh, interesting.
clients exit, clients
Yeah.
exit my practice in July and they exit my practice in December. And
That's
I
interesting.
personally don't like that cycle, but it
Yeah.
is also those 2 months are the months I take 2 to 3 weeks off every year.
So it makes
So
sense. It works for you.
it works for me. It doesn't always work for my financial anxiety, but it
Uh-huh.
picks up again in August and
Yeah.
September. And I just have learned to navigate that
Yeah.
cycle of my own business, right?
That's so interesting.
And I think
Yeah.
those are the kinds of ways that um, we become generous with ourselves, right? Find the support we need
Yes.
to get through the
Yeah.
times that feel a little bumpy, trusting
Mm-hmm.
that our soul, the universe, whatever you want to language it, spirit, is right there with us, continuing to bring us
Yes.
forward. Yeah.
I love that. You know what's interesting is I'm lucky enough that I started business, I think it was like 23, 22, and my brain wasn't fully formed yet, and it wasn't online at first. My first 7 years were not online. And so I didn't have the collective anxiety around business. And I had this naive, like, well, of course it's going to work. Why wouldn't it work? And it did. And it always has. And I watched therapists say, because I started as a therapist, that they had a cycle. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to have a cycle. Again, cocky. But because I did that, I never had a cycle. But what I do find is my cycle has to do with my capacity. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's, and it'll even happen beforehand. Like when I see my schedule clear 2 days in a row, I'm like, something's coming next week. And then a kid will get sick or I'll need to take care of something. And so it's also honoring like, if you're going through a down season or things are like that, looking at capacity, looking at mindset and capacity of, or also, like you said, I have a lot of people who their businesses do slow in the summer, but then they have like 3 kids at home under 10. And it's like, well, of course it did. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Okay. So my guides are wanting me to go back to, they keep bringing it up. I'm like, anyway, for people who are not aware of astrology, can you go back and explain what you meant by Saturn return?
Oh, yeah, I can go back and talk about that. Funny. Um, so what I mean by Saturn return is you're born under a particular Saturn placement, and every 28 to 30 years, Saturn returns to that placement. And the first one happens usually between 28 and 30, and the second one happens between 58 and 60, 57, 58, 60. And those are both key points in our, I'm going to call it adult development,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also going to suggest they're key points in our psychic development and our soul development too. And so in the first Saturn return, we're often shaken pretty hard to release things that don't work anymore. We often find ourselves separating from relationships, changing cities or towns, moving, changing jobs, all three sometimes all at once. Both of my Saturn returns, I did all of them, right?
Oh,
But
wow. Yeah.
the first one is a little more chaotic, right? Because we're coming into adulthood. We're really discovering our adult personality, our soul based guidance, how we navigate the world. Is often a time people open up to intuitive and psychic capacity, is either during the Saturn return, which lasts about 9 months, or after, within a couple of years after. The second Saturn return tends to be a little more grounded, right? We may still do all of those things, but we do them with a knowledge of adulting
Yeah.
and a lot of usually personal growth. We've usually been through a lot of therapy, which makes we understand ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we can like turn the dial in a little more with a little more refinement than we did
Yes.
when we were 28 to 30. And so,
Yes.
for me, my first Saturn return, I was working at a college in upstate New York. I divorced my husband. I separated from my husband, and I guess I did divorce him during the return as well. I took a leave of absence from my job. I went overseas, and I spent a year overseas, working at the Armed Forces Recreation Center in Garmisch, and then I quit my job while I was over there and came back and went to grad school in Tucson, Arizona.
Wow.
And I started a whole different life in grad school,
That's cool.
and I started doing yoga and I started my spiritual path at that point in Tucson. Yoga,
Yeah.
meditation, all of those things. Just kind of fresh out of my second Saturn return.
Yes, you
I
are.
also divorced, very
Yeah.
fresh out. It just ended in February. But I also divorced my husband, my second husband, but we are dear friends and we navigated that separation with incredible care and
Yeah.
gentleness. And we are the best of friends. In fact, I'm traveling now and he's here with me. We're visiting my
Hmm.
family and his family in Maine and New Hampshire.
Yeah.
We live in Tucson. And now we live like, I don't know, 5 miles apart and we talk to each other a lot. Like my first husband, I haven't talked to him in all of those decades, those
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
years. I haven't talked to him. I switched jobs. I became more stable. I have my business and I'm working for a college in Santa Fe, and the two of those things keep me really financially stable and loving life. Right. And
I love that.
I moved 4 times during that
Yeah.
time, right? During the
Yes.
whole span of Saturn and Pisces.
I was going to ask what
And
your Saturn was in. That makes sense.
it's in Pisces. And then, which is a relational
Hmm.
placement. It's in the
Hmm.
seventh house in Pisces. It's
Hmm.
very relational. And I really refined my relationships during that time.
Yeah.
And then after moving 3 or 4 times, I've lost track, I bought a house in June and my
Yeah.
Saturn return ended in February. Right.
I
So
love that.
now I'm stable. Like
Yeah.
the pieces are in place. Right.
Yes.
I have a
Uh,
great relationship with him. We're family, right? We've kept that intact. I have a great house. I have a good quality of work and financial stability. That is not what my 30-year-old self experienced in her first Saturn return, but
hmm.
the changes set me or her up for a whole different life, right?
Yeah.
The awakening happened
Yes.
after that, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, I'm actually going to go off on this tangent because
Yeah.
I
Go for it.
heard this before we got on that that to remind people or to talk with you about the fact that the first and second awakenings mirror Saturn or those Saturn returns 1 and 2.
That's interesting because I wasn't even planning on asking you about Saturn return.
Yeah, yeah, it
That's
was
so
kind of
funny.
interesting. Several years ago, actually, when I had my second awakening, is what we would call it, I was reading a book by Christopher Wallace called Tantra Illuminated. And he said, most people have two awakenings. One is the initial psychic awakening, where things sometimes just blow out, right? It
Yes.
fries your nervous system. You have a Kundalini experience, which is
Yeah.
when the energy moves up and down your spine and kind of fries your nervous system. But some kind of awakening to your psychic nature. Some people have them gently, mine are almost never gentle. Um, but just before Saturn moved into Pisces, I had a second awakening experience where my psychic awakening happened again
I
at a
remember.
different
That's right.
level. You
Yep.
remember it was
I
in
do.
the
I
spring
forgot
of
about that.
23.
Yeah.
And when it started to happen this time, just like with the Saturn return, I recognized it. I was on the chiropractor's table and I was like, oh my God, Evan, hold on, and I just
Yes.
watched it this time, and I wasn't afraid. I understood what was happening, and I just let it happen. And then I knew there would be a several year integration period.
Wow. Yeah. And it has been. That's so funny. I totally forgot about that piece.
Yeah.
I feel like yours are more intense. Like mine was, I was exhausted and burned out and was trying to find answers and ended up in a healing center and then gradually went through it. Although learning Reiki, the second level of Reiki was a lot more like a Kundalini kind of thing. But yeah, yours are much more, here we are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine are very, for whatever is going on in my system or my karma, mine are very intense. And the energy body alignment work that I do, while I can work in a lot of different ways, I'm actually very skilled at working with people who have had similar kinds of intense awakening experiences
That's what
and
I just
helping
heard.
to integrate it.
Yeah.
Helping to
Because,
integrate it within their neural networks, within their body. Like that's one
yep.
of the specialties of energy body alignment. I work
Yeah.
on it, and I work on people in a lot of different ways, but that's something that's just has naturally come through me. And I work with a lot of people with head injuries or psychic
Mm-hmm.
awakenings that need help integrating.
Right. Well, that's it, right? Because I was just thinking when I've had people come to me who have a sudden Kundalini awakening or Shaktipat kind of situation, sure, I can help, but I can't relate. And so these days, if I had anybody, I'd be like, go see Emilah. She gets it. Right.
I totally can
It's,
relate. Yeah. One of my favorite, I refer a lot of people to a book by Adyashanti called The End of Your World,
huh.
which he wrote about 25 years ago. And it's
Yeah.
about going through your first awakening and what that
Huh.
is like and what it does to your nervous system and how it changes your life
Yeah.
and how you perceive life
Oh,
and
that's interesting.
in some ways how to navigate it. But it's a primer for me. I read it a couple of years after and I was like, oh, that's what happened to me.
Yes.
Great. Oh, thank God somebody
Yeah.
wrote about this. But,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, and I feel like I think my Saturn's in Sagittarius. I just have to look. But Saturn
Uh-huh.
in Pisces, they don't that combo is not always the easiest. I want to just look really quick. Mine is, I think it's in my first house. Do you ever just like forget your chart, even though you look at it all the time?
I
It's
do.
like, yeah, I have Saturn, Uranus, the moon, and Neptune in my first house.
Oh.
But the stellium is with the moon, Uranus, and Saturn. So but I feel like Saturn and Sagittarius go well together because it's like the structure to launch, right? Like Sagittarius rising. That's why my media company, I rebranded it to Sagittarius Rising Media Company, is any of us can tap into any of these energies. And so for me, it makes sense that my Saturn return, right before it, Jeremy and I had the like, are we going to do this or not? Right. We got together as babies at 22. And so I'm almost 30 and we're like, if we're going to go forward like this, it has to work for both of us. So it was a really transformational time to where we have the relationship we have now. And then I opened the healing center. That's when I got Reiki certified at 27. I trained 300 people in Reiki in that like 2-year period. Like it was just, that was my first 6-figure years were that year. So that is a very Saturn and Sagittarius way to have a return.
Absolutely.
So
It's totally a Sagittarius way. And
yeah.
my returns are much more relational. And
Yeah.
so is my business, right?
Yes.
Like that, I think that's a difference in our
Yes.
businesses as well. Your business is fiery. It builds a lot of clients and money and you change. You're focused a lot.
I do.
My business is built on relationships.
Yes.
It's built on relationships. I work with people anywhere from 3 months to 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Over time. And maybe not every month, but I work with people for long periods of time, very consistently. And my offerings don't change significantly. Maybe they pivot a little bit. You know, they pivoted from intuitive coaching to more channeling and energy healing. And now they're pivoting to mentoring, right? But it's all very much within the same genre, you could say, right?
Yes.
Whereas you're like, okay, I'm on podcast now. And for a while you were on Facebook. right? In social
Yeah.
media. And for a while before that, you were on downloading web content.
Yeah.
You can still
Yep.
also do those things and they are a part, but the actual facing forward marketing changes, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
very
And that's,
cool.
yeah.
And mine is
Thank
like,
you.
oh look, I'm talking again about clarity and alignment,
Right. Well,
but to
it
a different
doesn't,
audience,
yeah.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And that speaks to the
Yeah.
beauty of intuitively guided lives and businesses and soul guided. And one of the things that spirit shows me, because I used to have a little bit of embarrassment that I changed so much, but then when I try to stay still when I'm not supposed to, it doesn't work. Like so being a Sagittarius rising, but then in human design, my incarnation cross is the left ankle cross of migration. So I'm supposed to always be traveling and moving and evolving and listening to that. Otherwise my fire goes out. And that's against what we're taught, right? You're like in the collective,
Absolutely.
it's changing, but it triggers a lot of people in different ways of, well, did your thing fail? I'm like, no, I didn't want to do it anymore. Or I really wanted to do this, or I really wanted to do that. And or people will feel, that just triggers people. And what spirit tells me is I'm called to embody that it's okay to change your mind. It doesn't mean you failed. And actually, it doesn't even mean you have to burn it all to the ground. Or I've never had a moment where I changed and like went broke. Like it's all been consistent and steady. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think too, but then yours is much more grounded and it's much, I just feel like you hold that space for people, whereas I hold space too, but I'm like, let's go, let's go.
Yeah,
So,
go, go, go. Yeah,
yeah,
I hold space a lot. I'm an educator, kind of long
yes,
term, right? My first
yeah.
work was in higher education as a residence hall director,
Oh,
right?
I
So
didn't know that part.
space,
Yes,
homes, student growth
yes,
was like
yes.
the first 15 to 20 years of my
Mm-hmm.
career, if you will, right?
Yes.
So I've been in personal growth and development and coaching for, since I was in my early 20s,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And so
Um,
everything kind of moves along that spectrum for me about relationships, about growth and evolution. I'm a certified Sparketype advisor, and in the Sparketype assessment system, which is um, helping you identify your unique imprint for work. There are 10 Sparketypes, and I am a advisor sage, right? Which is
ooh.
the advisor Sparketype is about you give to grow, right? I'm
Hmm.
holding space for people and I'm growing and they're growing and we're evolving. And
Yes.
the key piece on that particular Sparketype is the capacity to hold presence,
Mm,
right? We know that in counseling and coaching and advising, presence is actually what helps people change, right? The
right.
amount of presence
Uh,
the practitioner carries. And then the
yes.
sage is a teacher, right? A sage
Yes.
is somebody that awakens insight in somebody. And so that pairing for me is very true to my personality, to my karma, to my
Yes.
manifesting generator, and whatever that other part is that you talked about that I don't recall of mine ever. Um, but
Is it your profile line?
yeah, probably. I
I
don't
think
know.
it
And
is.
this is one of those things that I can never remember. I tend to remember my astrology, but my human design, I'll
I'm gonna
forget
look it
that.
up because I keep getting the nudge.
Okay.
Because when you were talking about Saturn return, and I'm like, aren't you a 6-2? Because a 6-2, it's like Saturn return on steroids because it's like this
Mm-hmm.
3-phase. I'm gonna look really quick while you're
I've
talking.
definitely had two Saturn returns on steroids.
Yes. Yes. Now, what was I gonna ask you? I lost it. It was intuitive. What do you think my Sparketype is?
Oh gosh.
I'm gonna have to take it
Um,
now.
you should take it. You should take it. It'd be super fun to talk to you about it. I think that you are somewhat. So a Sparketype has a spectrum
Hmm.
of Sparketypes, and on one end is a process-oriented spectrum, which means you're really connected to processes of things. making, the maker makes things, the maven learns things, all for the sake of learning and making, or the scientist solves problems, right? I think you're on that end of the spectrum. I'm kind of midline in the other
Yeah.
end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is service. So on the far end of that would
Yeah.
be a nurturer, right? Or a nurturer, or I forgot the one next to that. But the sage is a little bit closer to
Mm-hmm.
the process end, and the advisor is kind of a little closer to the service end, but they're more midline. But
Yeah.
I think you're on that process end. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think there's some maven in there. You could learn and learn and learn and learn forever. You just love learning,
Yes,
you know?
I do. I
It's,
do.
and you do kind of
Well,
love making things, you
I
know?
do. I love creating. That's my,
You
it's,
love
yes, creating
creating.
new things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
so
I
fun. I'll
think you're
take
over
mine.
on that end of the spectrum, but take it. It takes about 15
Yeah.
minutes. It's free. And
Cool.
you can buy a premium profile to get all the deets, but, or call me. But
Yes.
yeah, I think it's very useful for people who are
Yeah.
are in these pivot points and
Yes.
are trying to decide how to kind of retrofit their life so it's more satisfying, but maybe they don't want to
Yes.
leave the job they're in. We can work with the
Yes.
Sparketype to help them adjust the job they're in so that they love it more, right?
That
Or
makes
things like
sense.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, or maybe you are going to change jobs, but doesn't have to be the outcome, right?
Right.
So,
You know, what's interesting as you're saying this, I'm curious if the Sparketype world does this. What I sense also is that maybe we've been programmed to be one or see one as more valuable than the other.
yeah.
Because I could see,
Hmm.
I do hold space for people, but I'm also more about the process of like, what are we going to do here?
Right.
And that's where consulting and active coaching versus I loved being a therapist, but there was a part of me that was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do next? And that not everybody's ready for that in therapy. So
That's right.
yeah.
That's
So
right.
in human
Yeah.
design,
And I think
oh, go ahead. You go.
in human design, I'm a what?
You're a 3-5 profile, which
What does
means
that mean?
the great life experimenter.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so it's the 3 is learning through experience. Like you could learn a book, you could read a book, go to grad school. Like you have a PhD, don't you?
So
Or
I'm all but dissertation.
okay.
Yeah, but I don't have a PhD. Yeah,
I
but I
feel
did all
it.
the coursework and
Yeah.
higher ed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a PhD in life.
Yes. That's it, right? That's what a life experimenter, the 3-5 would say. Actually, a lot of celebrities are 3-5s because the 5 is processing it. Like I tried this. Why didn't it work? Why did it work? What is this process? What am I learning? That's a 3-5. And when you learn to embrace that there is a lot of 3-5s go into the shadow of I'm failing or I failed or what the fuck, basically like it's like, why isn't anything settled? But and it's not that things don't settle, but it's like you learn through the experience, even when you go to school, even when, it's through life. So that's it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I learned through life. I do.
Okay. So shifting gears to you and I this late summer, early fall, the mastermind that we're hosting.
Yes, yes. Growing your gifts. Mhm.
Yes. And so going to growing your gifts, one of the things that I love about the space that we're holding together is we're bringing back old school mentorship. So before we go to the mastermind, can you explain a little bit after your awakening, how did you grow your gifts? What did you do?
Sure. So, like I said before, my awakening came through a car accident, and I had a mild traumatic brain injury. I had not a scratch on me, but a lot of internal challenges structurally. And I reached out to somebody I knew outside of Tucson. Her name was Deborah. And she was a really masterful Reiki healer and she made flower essences. She was an herbalist. She was a psychic channel medium. All the things I do, actually, in retrospect, when I think about it. Um, and she was an old school psychic. You couldn't find her on the internet. you had to find her through somebody, right?
That's
She
old
only
school. Yeah.
worked by phone. In her younger days, she had read tarot and she would go to, psychic fairs and things like that. But when I met her, she was probably in her late 50s or early 60s. And she was living an hour south of Tucson. And I met her in some events in Tucson. And when I realized what had happened and I needed some help outside of allopathic medicine, I reached out to her. And she helped me heal from the head injury, but she also was a skilled coach and maybe counselor or shaman in the old ways where she could hold space for my psychological development, right? Within the spiritual development experience, right? So, uh, I worked with her really consistently for 5 to 7 years. And she helped me understand the gifts that were coming in and how to integrate them and how to work with people. She was often my supervisor. I called her my psychic supervisor, right? When I was doing readings or energy healing or things I didn't understand that were happening in sessions, I'd call her and I'd be like, okay, this is what happened. Like, what the heck was that? And, uh, so she would serve as a supervisor would if you were a therapist or a coach or something. And we would, after the first 5 to 7 years, I'd say we would come and go. Like I would work with her for chunks of time and then maybe I wouldn't work with her for a while. And then something else would shift in my world and I'd work with her. But also things would shift in her world. So if she was having a difficult time or she wasn't up to capacity, she would just take herself offline and she'd be like, you know what, I'm not working for a year or so. So be in touch. I'll be in touch when I'm back. Um, and so, it was back in the day where there was no internet to find a psychic. You
Yes.
you had to call the number on the board, or you
Yep.
had to know somebody in your neighborhood who did this kind of work. And so that's how I came up as learning. And she was incredibly humble.
Yeah.
Uh, she would not be a fan of marketing and advertising and all that stuff.
Yes.
That's not her style. And she had a lot of humility in her teaching. And I remember to this day, I still quote her all the time because she would tell me all the time, you're not special. We can all do this. Like, and she
Yeah.
wasn't putting me down and saying I
No.
wasn't good at what I was doing. She was just reminding me that all of us have this capacity and
Right.
don't get too big for your britches,
Right. That
right?
ego can really grow with the intuitive gifts. Yes.
Exactly. And she did a great job of keeping this Leo in check, you know? And so, I don't talk to her much anymore, maybe every few years, but she's very, very dear to me because
Mhm.
she really was my mentor through all of this. And
Yeah.
I've come to find others and make some shifts in how I work and things like that. But she set a great foundation. And that's the model we're using for this
Yes.
Grow Your Gifts program, right? That
Yes. Yes.
it helps in the Vedic tradition or yoga tradition, they would say it helps to sit at the feet of the master, but it also helps if the master is not better than you. They're
Right.
just walking alongside you instead of
Yes.
playing the guru, which is,
Right.
some of the challenge in that uh, culture, which I'm
Yes.
very steeped in. Um,
Yes.
so I think that's what we're working for, right? We're
Hmm.
looking for developing a small group of people who are learning and growing together, both in their psychic capacity, their personal growth, doing their
Yes.
psychological work alongside it, because I think that's key. And then also building their business and listening to the soul of their business and getting the mentorship and guidance they need from the business
Yes.
for the business and for themselves over the course of a year-long mastermind.
Yes. Yes. And I learned similarly to you, different origins. So mine were more one of my mentors was out of the Guatemalan shamanic tribe. That was my first mentor. My second one was Native American. shaman. The third one was who I still go to this day when I feel like is my brother. His name is Danny. He was taught by a woman that was taught by the Maori tribe from Australia. I think it's Australia, not New Zealand,
Mhm.
Australia. And so I woke up in 2011 and right before Nostradamus, and that's what you did. You just found people, like you just had to look around, and it's like when you're ready, the master appears kind of energy too. And I
Totally.
just followed them around and paid them for sessions and like got mentorship and would join in sessions and then trade. And I love the online space now, and our mentorship is online. So there's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
being online. But I think what you and I both noticed is, and courses are great. You and I both teach courses and master classes and
Totally.
workshops online. But the piece that I feel like we miss is your frequency is shifting when you're growing your gifts. Your life is shifting. There's so many things of when you start to wake up, it's like spiritual puberty, and it's helpful to have someone to help you integrate that and process it and see things. And that's what we're bringing together in this space. In addition to, one thing I see, I naturally attract a lot of psychics and mediums to my business. And I see so many people doubt themselves and doubt their gifts because they're like, I'm psychic.
Mhm.
Why isn't my business growing? And it creates this self-trust issue. And so there is, along with the psychic development, and we both bring both, you and I, but what I'm bringing
Totally.
mostly to this space is the mindset and the skill set of how do you integrate psychic abilities with, my psychology background, because business and marketing, I do have a business degree too, but business and marketing is human behavior. So once we have this basic understanding and we work on our mindset and we get really clear about what we want, about our message, like you said, then that's when I got chills. That's when we can honor the gifts that we're holding, because then we can share it with the world. And so we're bringing that together for a year. And the coolest part is, yes, we have things we know we're going to teach, but the beauty of mentorship, it's not like, okay, month one is, right? We're really just like our mentors did. They probably had an idea of what they needed to talk about, but it's such an organic process. It's such a magical process. And I just can't wait. We're going to have so much fun.
So much fun. Yeah, because we can work with this small group based on what their needs are,
Right.
how their lives shift, how their capacities open. We can really
Yes.
tailor our program and our teachings for
Mm-hmm.
that. And I think it's really beautiful. And I love that the internet allows us to do that together now
Yes.
without all being in the same space or
Yes. I do too.
physical space, right?
Yes.
And like you said, we've all used courses and done courses and taught courses, and they're useful to a point. But when you want to go deeper and deeper and build and integrate, every time you have an awakening, we have a need for
Yes.
help integrating it
Yes.
every single time. And we have lots of small ones along the way.
Yes.
Even though I speak about the first and and the
Yeah.
second, there's a lot of ones in between, right?
Yes.
And so, that's part of what I bring to the program is that intuitive development and the process of or the experience of my business ebbing and flowing, right? So
Yes.
sometimes my business
Yes.
is there have been years when I just haven't worked it. I've been in a
Yeah.
job, and then there are years when my business is really flourishing, and there's
Mm-hmm.
everything in between. And I'm not failing when I'm working a regular 9 to 5.
No.
It's just what my arc of development is,
Yes.
right? And my arc
Yes.
of business development and personal development. So I love
Exactly.
that we're doing this together.
Yes.
I think it will be so much fun
Yes.
and also helpful, right? Like this
Yeah.
stuff doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be serious, right? We can have a lot of
Right.
fun with
It's going to be fun. You know what I'm seeing too that I haven't seen until we're talking about it? There's two things that this I already saw. It is a frequency that people are entering, that you and I are holding this
it.
space,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
all of us that we come together, that's frequency by itself is helpful. But the other thing I didn't think about was it's really difficult in the beginning of awakening to like, well, that person does that and I don't do that. And like there can be like imposter syndrome or like, what is that? And I think there's a learning in that of like, well, that's what they can do. This is what I can do. And I think the contrast of who's in there is going to help everybody communicate and refer. Like, it's going to be such a cool space.
Yeah, I can really see that people are going to make lifelong friends and
Yeah.
colleagues here,
Yes.
right? Just like
Yeah.
you and I have
Yeah.
over the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years
Yeah.
that we've known each other. You know, we've really developed a friendship and a colleagueship and
Yes.
referral partners and
Yeah.
all those things.
Yes.
That will be part of the outcome of the mastermind and the mentorship because that's who we are.
Right.
And that's what we're bringing to the table.
Yes.
That sense of generosity and collaboration. And we know that's where the world is going. That's how we survive in the world these days.
Yes.
You know,
Oh, I
so
love
that's what we're bringing.
that. So fun. So as we wrap up, where can people find you? Where can they learn about you?
Yeah. So I have 2 websites. Those are the best places to find me right now. One is Emilah.com, my first name, Emilah.com. It was a miracle I got it, and I'm happy to have it.
Yeah, because Sarah Buehner is not, it's taken.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Right. And the other place you can find me is I have a second website, second business even called Healing for Pets and Their People. And that's the website you can find me at, healingforpetsandtheirpeople.com.
And I'll put those in
Or
the show
shortcut.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah. The shortcut to that is pets.emilah.com.
Oh, that's fun.
If you put that in, you can get me there too.
Yeah.
I am on Instagram, Emilah DeToro. So my middle name is DAWN. So it's Emilah DeToro on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. But to be honest with you, I'm not posting a whole lot there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there. I'm watching.
Yeah.
Things like that. But I'm not very active on social media right now. And if you're in Tucson, Arizona, you can catch me at the Ninth House, which is a metaphysical shop. And I read there a couple times a month for just 25-minute readings. And I love it. It's some of my favorite things to do.
I love that. And I'll add that you have a lot of really cool resources on your website. And you do have your golden light meditation. Emilah's emails are amazing. Like, I just love reading them. I know what you're doing in your world, but I'm like, oh, and I open it. It's just this little like sparkly email. So definitely go check out Emilah's stuff for sure.
Download. It's a free golden light meditation, and the feedback on it has been fantastic. People use it a lot, like a healing and restorative practice.
Oh,
the golden light meditation. And it brings beautiful golden light into your aura, into your field, and really nourishes your system.
Yeah.
And it's free for signing up for my mailing list, and I'd love to have you there.
Yeah. And as we wrap up, if you guys are interested in learning more about this mentorship mastermind, just send us a message. This is not one of those like hard sell programs. We're not convincing anybody to join. You'll be called to join if you're meant to be there. And we'd love to see if it's the right fit too. So.
Absolutely. And you can find all the details of it. It is now live as of the 14th on my Emilah.com website. And just click on offerings and scroll down to Intuitive Mentorship Mastermind, and all the details are there. Enjoy them. Read all you can on the site. And join us if you're called.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll put that in the show notes too. So it's an easy click. So, well, thank you for joining, and thank you everybody who's listening. And I'm sure I'll have you back on soon. This is too much fun.
It'll be fun. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Bye everybody.